Hello, everyone, and welcome to Martin Luther Chapel's Spring Break Servant Event presentations. I'm Hunter, and I got to help with Emma on this year's Pensacola trip. We had the opportunity to go down to Pensacola, Florida, and work with Habitat for Humanity. This is a picture of us and the crew on Friday. Included is Carlos and Sam, our foreman, and the house that we got to work on all week. So let's meet the crew. This is a picture of me and Emma on the final day of the work site. I had the opportunity to plan with Emma this year, and she was a great leader as well. So thank you, Emma.
This is Rachel. She was our senior driver and animal fact aficionado. She was a driver on the trip last year, so she was promoted to senior driver for this trip. And she was known as our animal fact aficionado because she is an MSU vet tech. She knows a lot of really fun and random animal facts. Rachel was also our translator. We ended up going to a Mexican restaurant, and we ended up not knowing some of the Spanish words on the menu, so she translated all those words for us, and we got a delicious Mexican meal. So thank you, Rachel, for all your hard translating work and driving that you did for us this past trip.
Our next group member is Avery, who was a junior driver on this trip as her first year. And Avery was also lodging coordinator because she was critical in checking us into the few hotels we got to use. This is Avery's second year on the trip, and she is pictured currently at our stop at Lookout Mountain, observing all 7 states. So thank you, Avery. Our next group member is Gabe. Gabe is a law student at MSU, so we asked Gabe a plethora of law questions over the duration of the week, and one of Gabe's mini jobs was personnel accountability keeper. So before we left each stop, Gabe was responsible for counting and making sure everyone was in the van, and we only almost had one incident. So thank you, Gabe, for all your hard work during the week.
This is Judah. He's a student at U of M, but we were still happy to have him along our trip, despite where he goes to school. His job on the trip is the intermediate equipment coordinator and the sound engineer. Judah has a 6-foot-long aux cord, so we relied on him for that, and it was very useful to have throughout the van if we had to pass it back or whatever we needed it for. So thank you, Judah, for your super long aux cord. We really appreciated it. This is Josh. He's a current sophomore at Lake Superior State University. He ended up driving 4 hours to get to East Lansing before he left, and he had to drive back to school when we came back. So thank you, Josh, for suffering through that drive to come with us. Josh was our chief nutrition assistance coordinator. He had to inform us of all dining places. For instance, we were in Alabama and we didn't know where to go for dinner, and he recommended a really great pizza place for us, so that was awesome. He was also coordinator of some snacks. He sat in the back with all of our snacks, and he was responsible for distributing them as we pleased. So thank you, Josh, for all your hard work. Josh also built a house, so he was probably one of the most knowledgeable out of all of us, so he was great. Thank you for coming on the journey, Josh. We really appreciate it. I'm Emma. I was one of the group leaders for this year's Pensacola trip along with Hunter. My task throughout the trip was to be a timekeeper. So my job in the van was to read aloud all the state facts when we got into a new state, and we also played the state song, just so everyone was informed of where we were, and we're having fun and learning some cool stuff along the way. My other job was to be the timekeeper for the trip. There was a lot of switchback between Central Time and Eastern Time, and that was kind of confusing. So if at any point somebody asked me what the time was, I had to tell them, and I had to tell them what if we were in Central or Eastern time. So
I am Hunter, one of the other trip leaders. I was assistant to the junior driver. This is my second year on a trip, and I really enjoyed working with this team and the help we got to do in this community. So driving down on Saturday, we started after the commissioning service. We drove down to Indianapolis and stayed there overnight and started bright and early Saturday morning. There's a picture of Emma reading us the wonderful state poem of Indiana while we listened to the state song. Later on Saturday, we arrived at Lookout Mountain / Ruby Falls, and we got to walk around a rock garden and take some fun pictures. And then in the evening, when we were at Ruby Falls, we went 260 feet down into Ruby Falls caves and got to see the underground waterfall, and it was pretty cool. Later that night, we continued our journey south and stopped in Birmingham, Alabama for church the next day on Sunday.
on Sunday, we attended Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran Church in Birmingham, Alabama. Everyone there was super nice and hospitable to us. They offered us some breakfast, which was really cool. And then after church, we continued to drive down to Pensacola, Florida. When we got to our church called Gadsden United Methodist Church in Pensacola, we went grocery shopping, and then we ended up having some free time. We played a iconic game of Clue, the Office edition. This game of Clue became a running joke throughout the whole trip, and it was really quite fun. And then we played other games, and that's pretty much how we ended up our Sunday night.
The next day was Monday, and that was our free day adventure. So the group decided to go down to Panama City Beach. It was rather cold that day, but we braved the weather and at least got our feet into the water. And we enjoyed some ice cream and went to some tourist souvenir shops. There's Emma from the night before at our famous Winn-Dixie hyped experience. And later that night, the group enjoyed some YouTube on one of the church's TVs. We were watching Alex Smithley's famous YouTube channel and relaxing before the workday that will precede it on Tuesday.
Tuesday was our first official work day. We started out with the house on the upper left hand. That picture, it was just the framing of the house. So we literally spent the entirety of Tuesday just adding plywood to the house. And when we got off from the work site, we went to Habitat's headquarters. And we toured the facilities, and we talked to a lot of people that work at Habitat. We got to see their warehouse, which is in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We got to see where they frame all the houses and where they do a lot of their pre-work before they send pieces off to the work site. We also got to learn a lot about the home buyer process for Habitat for Humanity. The home buyer has to attend classes as well as work on a house. This way they can kind of grasp and gain appreciation for the house that they have building for them, and they also understand and learn the responsibilities of what it takes to be a homeowner. Later that night, we were also graciously given dinner by some congregational members from Gadsden United Methodist Church, where we were staying. It was great, and it was just a really great time of fellowship throughout the whole day.
Our next day was Wednesday. We had some inclement weather, so the rain drove us off our first site, but we got to help at another Habitat build site that was further along in the process, and we got to do the finishing touches before Habitat turns it over to some general contractors to fill out the rest of the house for like electrical, plumbing, or the roof, for example. So we got to help on the porch, put some plywood up, or some weather-proofing sheets. We added some nails to the trusses between the trusses and the roof. Gabe and Judah were a two-man wrecking crew. They were putting steel bolts through the foundation and into the house to help it protect it from hurricanes and strong winds. And then we also helped to clean around the site. Um, the best part of that day was when we were finishing up. We got to hear Carlos's faith story, our foreman, and how he started with Habitat about 8 years ago as a prospective homebuyer himself, and they just appreciated how knowledgeable he was and wanted him to work with Habitat. And he just talked about how much Habitat has meant to him and his family, and then his community, and was grateful for us to come help, and how much God's plan it was for all of us. So having Carlos was very fulfilling to everyone.
Okay, so on Thursday we were at our original work site, the same house that we were building at on Tuesday. We completely finished adding plywood to the outer walls of the house, and it was really cool to see all the progress that we made, because you could watch all the panels that we were putting up, so that was really awesome. And then after the work site, we ended up going to see the house that was built last year from the Pensacola, and it's pictured on the upper right. So this is what the finished house looks like, and it's just really exciting to see the work that we're a part of and the impact that we can make in the community. And talking with other home buyers, it was really great to hear their stories and to see the outcome of what Habitat does.
Friday was our final day on the work site and was bittersweet because we were finally getting into the swing of things and really working well as a team. So during the morning, most of the team helped raise the trusses onto the roof. That required everyone to work together because the trusses were very heavy, and then set them into place. Then some people went around the house to add some steel brackets to really set the trusses in place. And then at the end of the workday, we got to wrap the house in a weatherproofing sheet, and we all got to work together as a team, with some people leading the charge around the house and others following behind, tacking down more of the sheet. And then there's a picture of Rachel cutting out some of the windows and doors. And then at the end of the workday, we took some pictures in front of the Habitat van and our van, and we said a send-off prayer with Carlos and Sam, and they wished us well and thanked us for the work that we did that week. And we started up our journey north to Decanter, Alabama, and then finished early Saturday evening and returned to East Lansing. So I would just like to thank everyone who prayed and donated and supported this trip as part of the MLC community and MSU community. It wouldn't have been possible without you. It was very moving as our student group to see all of the home buyers and other people in the community that were being impacted by just having the opportunity to own a home and have a stable foundation to build their lives on. And it was just very touching, and I would just like to thank everyone who helped make that possible for us and to help these people in our communities. Thank you.